Hi guys, this is Tobias, TL3MHT, and today I'm in my usual POTA spot, and I tried to activate yesterday and it was a complete disaster. Made 2 contacts in about 2 hours, and then I thought, should I really edit this failure? And I thought, hey, let's show you something more useful. So today I'm filming a video how to update your QMX or QMX Plus firmware to the version that supports SSB. And I thought, hey, should I film this in the shack or not just, enjoy the good weather and do it here open in nature? So let me quickly show you what I brought. Obviously the QMX, and in order to calibrate the SSB software you need a dummy load. So here I have a small dummy load with just a few resistors. Battery pack, speakers not really needed for calibration I think, but it's all tied up here, so I brought it. Obviously a laptop and a USB cable. So yeah, let's get started and I show you how you can update your QMX to the SSB firmware. Okay, the first thing we have to do is download the firmware from the QRP Labs homepage. So I'm starting the screen recording now, and I hope in the end I will get the video aligned and everything nicely edited. So starting screen recording now. And we need the QRP Labs website, www.qrp-labs.com. Let's see if that's right or wrong. Okay. And the SSB firmware is currently under the QMX Plus section. So you go here to Kits, QMX Plus 160 to 6 meters. And then you see here SSB Beta firmware, and that firmware is also working for the small QMX that I have here. Currently we are here in firmware number 1_01_009 SSB Beta download. So clicking here and it's downloaded. So that was quick. And I guess, well, that video will be out for a while, and I think the official SSB firmware release is pretty near, so maybe a week or so, just to iron out the last few bugs, and then we have the official firmware. So that's why I thought it's a good idea to film this video. Yeah, and on this page where you can download the SSB Beta release, there's also really detailed information how Hans implemented it and what all the settings mean and so on. So I highly recommend you have a look there. Even if you don't understand everything, it's a treasure trove of information, so you should really have a go here. Okay, so we downloaded the firmware. Next thing is we have to get the QMX in firmware update mode, and for that I will switch camera because this is the action cam and I don't know how close I can get to the QMX until it gets blurry. So I will switch to the smartphone camera, which is better for macro shots so that you can see everything. Okay, so here's my QMX, and of course I already have a SSB Beta firmware on there, but I think for the firmware update it doesn't really matter. So let's switch it on. And as you can see, I have 008 on, but that doesn't matter. You go to the menu, and I think at the bottom, when you turn the tune button left, you jump to the bottom of the top level menu, and one of the menu items is update firmware. Note that I have no USB connected yet, so you press the tune button once, I thought. No, you don't. You press the menu button once, and then it asks you, are you sure? And you click the tune button, and now the QMX is shutting down, and this is where you insert the USB cable and you switch it on again. And you heard the sound, and that was my laptop here showing the USB device, and you can also see the firmware number that is currently in my QMX, which is 101 17008. If you still have the official version in there, it will show a different number. Okay, and now, well, let me switch to screen recording again, and we'll have a look how we can update the firmware. This is my download folder where I downloaded the firmware earlier. So this is a Windows 11 machine. If you have something else, I can't help you. I'm showing you this on Windows 11. So extract all and just and extract that firmware binary, the zip file, and then it's as simple as doing a right click, copy, select the USB drive that has shown up earlier when we connected the USB cable to the QMX or QMX Plus, and then right click, paste, and a few seconds nothing happens, but it copies the firmware over it. And then if you're lucky, and we are lucky, it has automatically restarted the QMX. Sometimes that is not the case. I don't know why is that, but sometimes the restart doesn't happen automatically. But as you can see, it has restarted, and if we go back to our QMX, you see that it's already looking normal again. And I don't know if Hans has implemented an automatic reset when you go from the regular firmware to the SSB firmware. For me, from 1008 to 1009, nothing has shown, but for the sake of this video, I will now do a factory reset. And this is what you might get when you update from a non-SSB firmware to the SSB firmware. I'm not sure, so let me just press. And the same as with the firmware update earlier, it just asks you, are you sure? Do you want to do a factory reset? And yes, I want. And I can also, in theory, disconnect the USB cable now for the moment, and the reset will take a while. It's basically initializing all the built-in settings to the default values, or so we hope. Okay, so we've resetted, and now the QMX or QMX Plus asks us what version of QMX that is, and that depends on your hardware. For me, it's a high band QMX, so 20 to 10 meter. And yeah, that's it. We have the new firmware installed. And now the next step would be to do the calibration. And why do a calibration? Well, you can read it up on the page, PLab's web page. But basically every QMX is slightly different. The components are slightly different, and the calibration ensures basically a clean and good SSB transmission, to put it in simple terms, or as simple as I understood it. Okay, you can do the calibration from the menu, so I think you can go long press and then go to, I think it's hardware tests. No, here, hardware tests, yeah, SSB calibration. And then you can just run it without the computer, or the more convenient or meaningful way to do it is to run it with the computer connected and use the terminal connection. So I think I will show you that, because it's just makes for a more interesting video. Okay, for the moment, let's go back a level higher and go to system config. And one new option that you have with the SSB firmware is you can select the number of serial ports that are shown in your Windows system. And there were a few problems getting 3 ports to work, but the idea is basically you can have one serial port connected to your WSJTX or FT8 software of choice, and the other serial port you can use for cut control, and another serial port you can use for the terminal or something like that. So when you click here now, you can basically set it to 3 serial ports, confirm, Don't know how this confirm. Yeah, now I think, yeah, we are set to 3 serial ports. And I think you have to switch it off and switch it on again. I'm not sure if the final firmware still needs that. And now we can connect our USB connection again, and we should see 3 serial ports popping up in the device manager. Let me just try that. And here's the device manager, and the screen recording still running. Good. And as you can see, here you have now, well, I have here COM7913. That laptop is a mess. So you might get completely different serial ports. Okay. I've successfully managed to get from 3 working COM ports to no working COM ports. As I said, there were problems with running 3 COM ports. So fallback method, back to the QMX system config and just switch it to 2 serial ports and power down and power up again, and 2 serial ports should work, I think. And here we are, COM4, COM5. Interesting, huh? Okay, well, this is still the beta firmware. Lesson learned, 2 COM ports are safe, 3 COM ports are still a bit shaky at the moment. So now, same experiment as before. PuTTY. And COM4 115200, and now we have the terminal. So if I make that, I don't know if I should make that bigger, maybe not. Maybe just hit enter, and then you get the configuration menu of your QMX, where you can do all kinds of settings, and you can also do the calibration. Okay, we go to hardware tests, and we go to calibration, and then it depends how much confidence you have in the build quality of your QMX. There were quite a few people who have blown their BS170 transistors. I have never blown a BS170 HF transistor on my QMX, so depending how brave you are, you can either run the calibration here and run it band by band and give it a bit of a cool down phase between the bands, or you can just hit R for run, and it will go through all the bands and through the IMD calibration for the lower sideband and for the upper sideband, and run everything in one go. Okay, since I'm brave and I'm filming live now, I will run everything in one go. So I'll hit run now, and here it asks you, is the dummy load connected? Important, important, don't ever do this without the dummy load connected. So pressing R again, and now it says starting calibration. And maybe I'll put the window here on the bottom right side, and then I can do the overlay of the QMX on the top left, but it doesn't really show anything on the display when the calibration is running via the terminal. So as you can see, it started here with the 20-meter band, and I think I will just film the full calibration process, and somebody who understands these things can tell me then that this is a dead sure sign that my band, I don't know, 17 meter, 12 meter, 11 meter, some band is completely wrong and I should check my hardware. So for your entertainment, this is my QMX, high band QMX that I built, I don't know, a year ago. And this is how the calibration looks like. And I think here you see that by default it would use low pass filter number 3, but it somehow decided to use low pass filter number 2. I don't know, or vice versa. It should use 2, but it decided for 3. Not really exactly sure what the green lines here mean. But it basically goes through the phase calibration. I don't think you need a microphone connected at this point, because the audio test tones also that it uses are generated maybe internally. I don't think you need a microphone, because it doesn't make sense. Yeah, for a calibration step, it doesn't make sense to pick environmental audio noise. And yeah, this calibration step takes quite a while, and yeah, your QMX will get warm. Your dummy load will also get warm. And yeah, if you're not 100% sure about the build quality of your QMX, then it's probably better to run this one by one. So use the O button to run one calibration step, and then give it maybe a minute or two to cool down. And you can use plus and minus to switch to the next band or next calibration step, and then you can press O again to run that specific calibration step again. Okay, so we managed to run the 20 meter phase error correction, and now it's the 70 meter one. And the odd thing is 20 meter for me looks different to 70 meter. I have no idea why that is. I think all the low pass filter tests and whatever tests that are in the test menu, they all look quite good on my QMX, or normal, or nothing to worry about according to my understanding. So it's a bit strange that some of the calibration steps for some of the bands look a bit odd. And as you can see here on the QMX, there's not really anything happening here at the moment. It's just doing its calibration, and the menu is not updating here on the display. And are we stuck, or is it continuing? That's the question. Because I have not tried the latest beta software myself. As you have seen, I've just downloaded it and immediately fell into the trap with the 3 COM ports. This is odd, huh? It was working before, now it's no longer working. Okay, that was the 70 meter phase error versus stuck. Well, 15. I'm not sure why the high band QMX has the 11 meter band. In a way, it would be nicer if it had, instead of the 11 meter band, if it had 40 meter, right? So 40, 20 and upwards, and skip the 11 meter band, because I'm not really sure what I should do with it. Okay, here's a few interesting results on 15 meter. Yeah, maybe I should stop filming here and give you a more interesting view of the laptop. Oops. Or myself, I don't know. Well, that would be the other camera. But we still need this one after calibration has run through, to show you the menu items. So I keep filming with that. Double check if the screen recording is still running. That seems to be the case. And I've run this calibration numerous times. Basically, I've run it for every firmware that Hans has released since the very first SSB Beta, and so far the QMX has survived that. But I'm also running it at the moment with just 3 LiPo cells, so I'm not even sure if it gets the full 12 volt. The batteries were fully charged before I came out here in the forest. And I think even this 12 volt input voltage, the HF section is not really running this 12 volts, but a little bit less. So all I can say is so far I had no problems blowing HF transistors. Famous last words, maybe today is the day. Okay, so that was the 15 meter calibration, going on to 12 meter. And yeah, what did I want to say? Yeah, if you do this in the shack, you can of course use a stabilized power supply that provides enough current, and then you don't have any problems with batteries getting weaker during the calibration. You just hook it up to 9 volt or 12 volt, and be careful, hook it up to the voltage that you built your QMX Plus for, otherwise yeah, you're done. But my QMX is built for 12 volt, so I would hook it up for 12 volt, and then I could see basically on the built-in current meter of the power supply, whenever it's transmitting, it draws, well, not really 1 amp, but I don't know, 600-700 milliamps. And my QMX is also not giving 5 watt output on all bands. It's more something more close to 4 watts. So maybe I'm using it in a more benign way, or my the transformer that I built is not super efficient. So it does about 4 watts. And the calibration seems to have no problem with that. And I have not blown any transistors. That looks a bit odd, that phase error versus stuck. I'm not sure. Can I maximize that without the display getting messed up? Let's try. It doesn't really give us any more information, right? It's just, yeah, but maybe I can zoom in now. Let's try to do that in post-production. And I'll just blow it up so that the whole screen is filled with the output of the POTA terminal here. I think we're almost there with the 12 meter calibration. I could also speed this up in a time lapse. Maybe I should do that, otherwise you bore yourself to death waiting for the calibration to run through. And I'm not sure how Hans has implemented the auto scaling here on the X and on the X-axis, because here it looks terrible, like there's a horizontal line on the top, but if you look at the X-axis, it's just about, I don't know, maybe plus 12 or something for phase error versus stuck. So even though it is a horizontal line at the top, maybe it's not so bad, because if that auto scales, I think my 20 meter calibration was much worse. It had a much higher value on the y-axis. Yeah, this is fairly unspectacular, right? You just hook it up, go into the calibration menu, connect your dummy load, and hit R and wait. Maybe while this is running, in order to not make the video too boring, let me show in parallel the microphone that I built. And I really tried different microphone or electret capsules, but in the end I bought the capsule that Hans was using, the exact same one from DigiKey. And well, that's just a 3D printed housing. There's a, well, I would call it a joystick micro switch in there to give you a nice clicky sound. And apart from that, there's not really anything special here. You know, there's a normal 3.5 millimeter 3-pin plug. And one of the pins is the PTT to ground, and the other pin is the microphone input. And on the other side, you connect it to the pedal port of the QMX. So that housing I found on Thingiverse. I think it's called QRP microphone something. I will link it in the description. I mean, you might say it's too big, and you might prefer the KM6ARK microphone housing, but I wanted a nice clicky switch, and the switch is fairly huge if you know how big these micro switches are, and it was just easier to get everything wired up here. So I can put some pictures up now where you see how I built this thing. I mean, there's really nothing to it. In the end, I decided to use a shielded wire from the microphone capsule to the connector, and the PTT to ground is just 2 normal wires. So yeah, nothing spectacular. And I think I should maybe add some more foam here on the top to avoid breathing. To avoid breathing noises here, because you don't want to speak like this in the front. You hold this like this and speak across the capsule, so that you don't have breathing noises or plosives in your audio. So I think, yeah, I could probably put a bit more foam on here to make it work a bit better. Okay, just done an oopsie and spoke for 10 minutes and not recording the screen. So let's rectify that and try again. Start recording. And as you have seen, we ran through the calibration correctly, and the calibration is under hardware tests. And now we can look at the results of the calibration. So that's, well, let me just skip through quickly. 20 meter phase error versus stuck, 17, 15, 12, maybe a bit odd here, 11, 10, then the 20 meter upper sideband IMD sync optimization, 20, 17, 15, 12, 11 and 10 looks a bit dodgy to me. I don't know. The same with the lower sideband IMD sync optimization, 20, 17, 15, 12, 11, 10. Again, 10 looks a bit odd, but this is what it did. Good. Now you can press Ctrl Q, get out of there, and let's do the microphone test. And for the microphone test display to work, I have to minimize the display like this. And I don't know, what am I? Think, yeah, my computer is full of crap. Let's record it like this. Okay, so microphone test. You hit enter and then you hit R, and then I have my microphone connected, and as you can see you have these scrolling bars that scroll up, and the red bit are the peaks. Please provide pizza pronto. So you see the plosives here in red. And I think, yeah, I think this is, well, since this is the capsule that Hans used, obviously 50% gain should give good results, and this is what I get here. So again, Ctrl Q and you're out of the microphone test. Yeah, and then it's basically just configuring your other options that you want to use. And one thing to configure is the SSB transmit equalizer. I think I would recommend that. And this is the setting that I came up with, and I'm not saying that's a good setting or the perfect setting. That's just, well, I listened to the output of the QMX with my IC705 with headphones, and this is something that worked for my voice with an earlier version of the beta firmware. So maybe with the later version this is not the best setting. This was the first acceptable setting basically. So as you can see, I changed global gain to 0 and then basically just gave it a boost plus 9 dB at 2300 Hertz. I think the default one that Hans used was it 2.2 kilohertz, 2200 Hertz plus 6, or 2100 plus 6. I think that's always a safe bet for a male voice. Of course, if you have a very boomy low voice, you might want to give your bass gain some negative gain to get the energy out of your, well, low frequencies and boost the higher frequencies. I mean, it's all a matter of choice. I mean, this is a QP radio. For me, it does 4 watts. So probably good to go for a nasty, punchy, high frequency modulation and not for your Rec 2 audio settings. Okay, what else have I changed? I think microphone compression I set to 10. Again, you can experiment there. I think, can't remember, but maybe up to 20 is doable, but 20 is already on the edge. So 10 is maybe a compromise. Again, I have not run this with this beta firmware, but with an earlier version of the firmware. So maybe something changed. I have to verify if the values I found are still valid with this version. Okay, as you can see, there's really nothing spectacular to it. You flash the new firmware, connect the dummy load, run through the calibration, then you set your microphone gain, and then you can tweak the transmit equalizer in the compression, and that's that, and you're ready to go with your QMX/QMX Plus and SSB transmission. Of course, all the other settings, since I did a factory reset, I had to reset them to the way I liked. So I've enabled the CW decoder and RX and TX decoder. I've set my CW keyer to iambic A. I set the side tone volume to relative. And what else did I do? Well, under display controls, I enabled all the display extra options like battery display, power SWR display, S-meter display. Everything is on now. And yeah, that's basically it. Have fun. I don't know, it feels a bit odd for me to advertise somebody else's work here, but maybe it helps a few of you to get over the fear of installing a new firmware. It's really not such a big deal. Just remember, maybe only set the, if you have problems with the USB connection, set the number of USB ports to 1 or 2. That should always work. 3 is still a bit on the dodgy side, as we have found out. And yeah, that's it. As I said yesterday, I was doing a POTA activation here, so I can maybe, if I find the footage, give you as a bonus material the 2 QSOs I did in 2 hours filming. Enjoy, and until next time, bye. Okay, now I was a bit too fast to end this video. Let me just show you something. Start screen recording again. And no, I don't want to update OBS right now. I just want to show you that after setting the COM ports to 3, powering down and powering up the QMX, here I have them, COM4, COM5, COM6. And let's see if POTA is also happy now. Let's say COM4, open, and here we go, COM4 working. I don't know why it worked before it didn't work. I blame it on Windows and not so much on the QMX. So this yeah, USB on a Windows is a bit dodgy. Okay, but now I'll end the video. Thanks for watching, and until next time, bye. Delta Lima 3 Mike Hotel Tango DL3 MHT QSL.
QSL Delta Lima 3 Mike Hotel Tango. Report for you is 5757.
Roger, Roger. You're also 57. This is park to park. My park reference is Delta Echo 0465.
Delta Echo 0469 QSL.
Negative 0465. 5 is the last number.
Okay, Delta Echo 0465 and this is Ebersberger und Großhager Forst Natural, yes?
Yes, Roger, that's correct. And your park reference?
My park reference is Sierra Echo 0388. 0388.
Sierra Echo 0388. Okay, got it.
Okay, thank you very much. 73 and 44.
Thank you very much for the contact. 73.
CQ20, hello CQ, Golf 1 Radio United Echo. Golf 1 Radio United Echo. Listening for any calls.
Delta Lima 3 Mike Hotel Tango.
Yeah, QRZ, you're not very strong, but we're listening for you, over.
Okay, roger that. I'm just running 4 watts. The call sign is Delta Lima 3 Mike Hotel Tango. Delta Lima 3 Mike Hotel Tango. QSL?
Yeah, Delta Lima 2 Mike Hotel Tango. Very good afternoon to you. Name this and is Delta Echo Lima. You're not very strong. I'll give you signal and report on the next one, over.
Yeah, roger that. The call sign is Delta Lima 3 123. QSL?
Yeah, Roger, was that 3 watts? I think you said 3 watts. At the moment, your radio 45, Roger.
45 received. Yeah, you're very strong. Very nice modulation. 59.
Yeah, okay, Roger. Yeah, we'll just confirm the call sign. Delta Lima 2, Mike Hotel Tango, and you're 4 and 5. Signal 45, Roger.
Negative. The call sign is Delta Lima 3 123, not 2.
Yeah, Roger, was that 3? Delta Lima 3, over.
Yeah, roger that. Now you have it.
Yeah, okay, thanks for coming back to the call. As I say, you are a little bit on the weak side, but hopefully we'll catch you when the band is a lot stronger there. 73 from Golf 1 Radio United Echo.
Yeah, thanks very much for taking the effort to come back to me. 73, bye.
Yeah, no problem at all, no problem. If you're out there, we'll try and pull you in. If you do get a chance to have a look at the QRZ page, you'll see working conditions on it. Very good afternoon from northeast England.
Yeah, 73 from a Sunday Munich area.
Yeah, very good afternoon. QRZ, Golf 1 Radio United.
Okay, that should have been sunny and not Sunday, but anyway, got excited.